Todd. How you doing, man?
First of all, it's a great opportunity to chat with you. I'm well aware of you, and I've sort of followed a lot of your shows and your story. So
Oh,
it's
that's very kind. Thank you.
yeah, so it's really cool to get a chance to chat with you. The first thing, let's get this out of the way because the real reason that I'm chatting with you today is because of The Price is Right Live is going to be here in Dayton at the Schuster Center on March 15th. Now, I know many people, probably all people listening to us right now, remember watching The Price is Right on TV, still watch it with Drew Carey. It is part of the American fabric. Wouldn't you agree?
I would most certainly agree. I mean, I've said many times over the years, so many times that I'm not even sure if I'm the first person who said it, but I think you put The Price is right up there with baseball and apple pie as far as being about as American as you can get.
Well, yeah.
It's a piece of history, a piece of pop culture.
Well, and America is all about shopping. So
Right.
when you got a show that's just all about shopping and pricing games and just fun and excitement, how can you go wrong?
That is true, and it's
Yeah.
funny. I don't normally go back this far in the history of the show, but the original concept of The Price is Right was developed by an incredible producer. He's no longer with us, by the name of Bob Stewart. He also created Password and To Tell the Truth and $64,000 Pyramid, so many other great shows. But this show concept came to him when he was walking down Broadway in New York City in the 40s, early 50s, and the pawn shop dealers right around the Times Square area vying for tourists' attention and business. One guy got the idea to go out on the sidewalk with his products, and instead of just slapping price tags on things, he started having people bid on them. And Bob Stewart kind of took that and finessed it and nurtured it, and here we are well over half a century later.
Well, that show has all the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. It's got the bells, the whistles, literally and figuratively, and just a ton of excitement. And that's what you're going to be bringing to the Schuster Center on March 15th. That's that sort of energy that you see on TV Monday through Friday here on WHIO TV in Dayton. That's what's going to be on stage that night at the Schuster. Am I right?
That's absolutely right. Bob Barker himself created this live version of The Price is Right 25 years ago. This is our 25th anniversary.
Wow.
And I got to say, this tour is the biggest and best we've had in many, many years. New games, bigger prizes. It's pretty awesome. But Mr. Barker created this show, in his words, to take a little bit of Hollywood out to folks that, because of work obligations, family obligations, may not have the chance to come out to Hollywood and play on television. And what started off as just a little 2-week run in a tiny lounge at a casino in Reno, Nevada, has led to this incredible North American tour. We get to do about 160 shows a year. But, yeah, it's the same games, same prizes, same music, same energy, as you mentioned, same excitement that you've enjoyed on television for decades.
And I would imagine that the atmosphere at these live shows is probably even a little more heightened than what it might be on the Hollywood version that you see every day, because I've never been to The Price is Right in Hollywood, but when you look at that studio, it seems vast, but I know that it's not. Whereas you come to someplace like the Schuster Center, this is a huge environment. That studio in Hollywood is not real big.
Well, the Bob Barker studio in Hollywood was 330 people. A few years ago, they moved to Glendale, California, and I think it sits about 250 now. But you're right, Todd. When we go to places like the Schusters, I mean, we're talking 2,000, 3,000 people. But the great thing is, number one, we give more people in the audience the opportunity to come down to contestants row or to get up on stage and spin the big wheel and win prizes than they're able to do on television. We're not limited to 1 hour.
Yeah.
We call 4 new people down to contestants row after every game, whereas on the TV show, they just bring 1 person down. We do that to accommodate as many people as possible. We give prizes away in between the games, and all of our contestants are chosen completely at random. You know, Bob Barker insisted on that. He said it shouldn't matter where you're sitting, how much you paid for your ticket, how far you drove to get there. Everybody should have a level playing field. So complete random drawings. Everybody has the same shot, and it's nonstop excitement from the moment that curtain goes up.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you've not just hosted this Price is Right live. You've done many other game shows, Whammy, the all-new Press Your Luck, Family Game Night, a lot of different shows. What, in your mind, really makes a great game show host? Because that was one of the things when I was growing up, I was kind of interested in, because I loved media. I loved television. I loved radio. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I always thought, like, maybe the path not taken, I could have been a really good game show host. What makes a great game show host?
Well, that's a great question. You know, I grew up watching Bob Barker during the day and Johnny Carson at night.
100%. Yeah, I'm there with you.
Before I knew what the term host even was, I just recognized the fact that these guys were entertaining millions of people, what I assume to be millions of people, by being themselves, or maybe a slightly exaggerated version of themselves. I remember the way Johnny Carson could make my father laugh like no one else could.
Yeah.
And I found that really intriguing, magnetic almost. And like you, I wanted to get into the entertainment industry somehow. I come from a long line of radio people. I started my career in radio. I love it. I miss it. There's something magical about being behind that microphone and doing everything live. And to a certain extent, game show hosting is like that. You know, there are, even if you're hosting a game show on television, you can't rework the outcome of a game. Legally, you can't do that.
Right,
the way the game goes is the way it goes. And when you factor in doing it in front of a live audience, well, it's, you know, you have to multiply that excitement 100-fold. So, like you said, I've been very fortunate to do many shows on television, but in 2001, Bob Barker was kind of my mentor. You mentioned Whammy. We were produced by the same people that produced The Price is Right. And Bob was very kind to kind of take me under his wing and teach me the intricacies of this. And even I was even more fortunate when the live show came along and he bestowed this position upon me. I mean, he changed my life. You know, my daughter, who's a junior in college now, likes to tell her friends that the guy that beat up Happy Gilmore pays her tuition.
Well, in many ways, that's absolutely true. You know,
but it is. But I think the most beautiful part about game show hosting is being able to share the stage with a contestant when they win that pile of cash or that vacation that they haven't been able to take for a while, or, you know, if all the stars are aligned, that brand new car. I mean, there's nothing like it. There's nothing I'd rather be doing.
Totally unscripted, right? And you have to go with the flow, and you never know their reaction. They could be just go out of their minds with excitement, or they could be completely stunned and silent, you know, and you just have to work with it. I love that. That.
Absolutely. You know, on a television game show, we have contestant coordinators, and there's a pre-selection process. Who's going to be the most TV friendly, or are they dressed in their dress blues, or do they have a college sorority sweatshirt? You know, whatever the case.
Yeah.
But with our show, because every contestant is chosen at random, you get some people who are beside themselves with excitement. You get other people, you know, once they step foot on that stage and they see the audience and the lights are in their face, it's a completely shut down moment. But you just kind of have to ride with it and play the game through the eyes of the contestant. This is their moment. I get to play Plinko every night. I don't take it for granted, but I know for the contestant, it's a once in a lifetime experience. So it's kind of like when you have kids, all of a sudden Christmas is cool again, and you want to do it through their eyes.
This is going to sound like a strange question, but you mentioned that you have a background in radio. So sometimes I will have dreams where I'm in the studio and everything goes haywire. Like the mic doesn't work, or I can't get the sound or the phones to work, or, and I'm basically sitting there, not literally in my dream, but sitting behind the mic naked, and everybody can see what's happening. Everybody can hear what's happening, but it's just a disaster. Do you have nightmares like that as a host of The Price is Right Live, where you're on stage and you've got contestants and everything goes berserk?
We've had a lot of things happen, obviously, in 25 years. We've had women go into labor on stage. We've had the power in the theaters go out. We've had technical difficulties. But, I think that people like taking a peek behind the curtain.
Right.
They like seeing how it's done. I tell people at the beginning of the show, you're going to see things tonight that you would not see on TV because they edit them out. But when the games come out, we've got 5 crew members pushing those games out. You're going to see those guys.
Yeah.
You're going to see things being repositioned and reworked. And so just, imagine you're at a studio taping and this is what it would be like. And I think people like that accessibility. God willing, and the creek don't rise, we don't have anything too detrimental occur.
Right.
But you got to be able to roll with it like you do on your show. I mean, it's live. Things are going to happen, and that's what makes it true and authentic.
Yeah.
We live in a world where everything is so polished now. I don't like that. I don't like too much of a shine. I like a little bit of grit in there.
Todd, usually on this show each week we have a train wreck of some sort.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. That's the way it is. So let me ask you about the Tattooed Traveler.
Yeah.
So this is a streaming show that began as a YouTube channel, right, or a YouTube show, and it's kind of taken off from there, right?
That's right. So during the writers' strike out in Hollywood about 4 or 5 years ago, I get a call from a friend of mine who said he needed what they call non-scripted content, which means we need something that doesn't have any writers because they're on strike. I said, well, listen, man, when I'm not traveling for The Price is Right, my passion is travel. I love seeing the world. I love experiencing new cultures and new cuisines and going places where I don't speak the language and have never tasted the food and can't exchange the currency. That's my thing. I love it. And I had documented a bunch of that for YouTube, and mainly just to kind of pass on to my kids at some point, and share this wanderlust with them. And it got picked up by Roku, and I think we're on in 12 different countries now.
Wow.
And when this current Price is Right tour is over, I'll be going back to Vietnam, which is my favorite place on the planet.
Well, I was just going to ask you. Yeah, I was just going to ask you your favorite place, your favorite foodcation. We were talking about that earlier on the show, of foodcation. So Vietnam is your place.
Without question. It's the most beautiful agriculturally. The people are just so incredibly generous and welcoming, and the food is really, I don't eat it a lot here in America, so there's a little aspect of me really looking forward to it, going down a back alley and sitting on a little plastic stool and ordering something I've never had before. It's really enlightening, and it makes me feel like I'm kind of stretching myself a little bit, which I really enjoy. But the Tattoo Traveler is a lot of fun, and it's nice seeing the world on someone else's dime. I can't complain about that.
Sure. So lastly, the one thing I wanted to mention is the very first line of the bio that they sent me. I love this. They don't make showmen like Todd Newton anymore. And this is such a weird thing. But when I was in Cub Scouts, I don't know if you were ever a scout, but you'd have to get all these little badges and do these activities. And we'd have these little ribbons that we would wear on our shoulder, and then we would tack those particular badges or little pins on there. My favorite badge that I ever got was the Showman Award. And I still have it, and it's a little silver guy that looks like a showman. So when I saw that, I thought, oh yeah, this guy. I know what this is about.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
I just I never got into this to be rich or to be famous, Todd. And just talking to you, I think you're kind of the same. You know, we do it because it makes people happy. You know, my grandmother was a comedian during the vaudeville era. My grandfather on the other side was an old AM radio guy. And I just remember being young and watching how people reacted to them. And they always had a story or a way to craft a story. Nothing ever seemed boring or mundane to them, and I wanted to live my life like that. And through the Price is Right Live, we get to go out there every night and make people happy. You know, we have the benefit of not being like a band. You know, we don't have to worry about our voices not being there one night or being a comedian and our jokes falling flat. I mean, this is the Price is Right. It's got over half a century worth of proven special moments. And Bob Barker always said that. You know, he said, this show means something to people.
Yeah.
You know, give them that experience. Let them feel whatever emotion the show invokes. They're the ones who made it. They're the ones who keep the lights on. And I think about that every night before I walk through those doors.
Well, it's going to be a special night on Sunday, March 15th at the Schuster Center, downtown Dayton. You can get tickets for this at DaytonLive.org. And Todd Newton, it's been a really great pleasure chatting with you. I love your work and I love your energy, and hopefully I'll be able to make it out there that night. And I'd love to meet you.
I feel the very same way, Todd. This has been a real pleasure, and I thank you for the time. And Dayton's always a great show, and please do come out, and we look forward to seeing folks. It's a very special part of the country, and we're going to make it a very special night for you.
Awesome, Todd. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad we finally got to connect. That was great.
Same here, pal.